Hi, I'm Tom Travat, and this is Photography Adjacent, a podcast about photography and everything else. Each week on our show, we speak to artists, activists, writers, and the occasional photographer to learn about life through their lens. Hi, and welcome back to Photography Adjacent, the podcast about photography and everything else. My name's Tom Travat, and today we are interviewing Robyn Davie, who is a business owner, photographer, and entrepreneur who runs her photography studio, Fin Studios, out of Johannesburg in South Africa, where she has a 15-strong all-female team. It's a natural light studio in a massive warehouse-type space. Looks fantastic. Check it out. Today we're talking about entrepreneurship, marketing, and Robyn shares some amazing little nuggets of information about how to market your business. So stick around. Robyn Davie, thank you very much for joining us today on Photography Adjacent podcast. I think I'm speaking to you from Hamburg, right? Or you're in Hamburg?
This is true. Yeah, thanks, Tom. It's really great to be here. I am in a very cloudy grey Hamburg, Germany. Yes.
Nice. But obviously from your accent, we can tell that you're not from Hamburg. You're from South Africa.
Is it that much of a giveaway?
A bit of a giveaway. I'm sure that
it's not a strong South African accent, though. Yeah, I hope not, at least. But yes, I am from South Africa. I relocated to Germany nearly a year ago.
So this is coming up to a 1-year anniversary of being in Germany.
Yeah, it's wild that it's already a year. Like you blink and the time disappears. So yeah, it's a good milestone.
Before we jump into things, let's get a little bit of a kind of intro about you. I know you certainly were a photographer, but now you run a photography company. So let's go back a couple of years. Tell the story about how you started this.
Oh, then we're going back more than a couple of years. So that was about 12 years ago. I was living in Los Angeles. I was in my early 20s. And it was just that kind of obviously needing to make money. I think I was working about 7 part-time jobs at the same time. Mm-hmm. And Los Angeles is obviously inundated with actors who need headshots.
Of course.
The first time a friend said to me, "Can you take my photo?" And I was like, okay, sure. I did a terrible, terrible job of it. It was the middle of the day. It was high contrast. It was that time when we were still using like Instagram filters basically on our photos. It was embarrassing, but the learning curve from then to now has been huge. But that was pretty much what planted the seed. And I suddenly went, oh, wait, I can actually make money from something that I just love doing. And yeah, that was the beginning of a long road.
Fantastic. So the first photograph you took was a terrible headshot of an actor. And you don't just take headshots though, do you? It's much more it's closer to personal branding photography that you do now.
Yeah, so it's taken a journey. So I was in LA for about 2 years and then moved back to my hometown in Johannesburg. Mm-hmm. I started with family photography at that point. And I was about 26, 27 when I realized I'd hit this financial ceiling of how is this what I can achieve? I'm 26, I'm working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. I'm editing, I'm shooting, I'm booking in clients, I'm doing the marketing, the finance, absolutely everything. Like this can't be it. This can't be what I'm trying to achieve in this beautiful creative dream of mine. And that was when I took on my first associate photographer. But to answer your question, that was the journey from starting in headshots, heading into family photography. And then that was the main business for about 8 years. And now we've actually gone back. Our main core is corporate photography again. Mm-hmm. It's simpler and easier without crying babies. I'm not going to lie.
Fair enough. I've never tried family photography and I don't want to. So I appreciate that. I understand that.
Yeah, there's a lot of joy in it, and it definitely is a passion. But yeah, the simplicity of corporate photography is good as well.
Fantastic. And now you've got I've seen the videos on Instagram, a pretty large scale natural light studio in Johannesburg. Mm-hmm. Which you've run for how long?
So we started that in 2021, right in the middle of the pandemic. It was January. Oh, I feel like I needed to check my sanity at that point because we'd gone from obviously beginning of pandemic, every single one of our photo shoots was cancelled. I had to let go some of my team members. It was absolutely devastating. And in hindsight, it was actually one of the biggest growth points for me personally and for my business. because I've got this business that's basically defunct at this point. We've lost 60 to 90% of our revenue. What are we going to do? The first thing we did was we used the other skill sets of my photographers, which was graphic design. So we started to get the team working in that sphere, which was really helpful. And then another natural light studio that we used in Johannesburg actually shut down. And I saw a gap in the market that we couldn't shoot in parks. We couldn't shoot at restaurants. We couldn't shoot anywhere outdoors. We needed a space for our photographers to shoot in. So I said, let's open a studio. I'm going to do it. Basically emptied out my bank account and my apartment because I furnished it with my own furniture from my apartment. It was a tough month, that January, I remember, and also on like a bit of a hope and a prayer, because I don't really know if this is going to work. I polled a few photographers. I knew there was a gap in the market because another studio had shut down. But I was like, let's see what happens. And luckily within 2 months I was cash positive. So it was a good investment.
That's good news.
Yeah.
And was it the space that you now have that you rented at that point?
Yeah. Somehow it was around the corner from my house. There were all of these like serendipitous moments that kind of lined up. A beautiful big space with these huge big pivoting doors. It made sense at that time because we needed something with a lot of airflow, a lot of height, like that, just that kind of room that you could go into and you could feel safe. You could have distance from the clients and everything like that. Lots of fresh air coming through. And then it was wild. The landlady had been using it as a warehouse to store her African artifacts that she was selling. But it is this beautiful space that has these plexiglass, huge doors that open up, that let the light in but diffuse it perfectly. It was primed to be a studio, and all I really had to do was bring my furniture in from my apartment and put in a little coffee bar in the corner and get some studio assistants in, and then we were good to go.
Nice. It's I mean, anybody who's watching this or listening to this can follow you on Instagram and check out your the videos that you've got, the sort of BTS videos that you've got of this space, and it's absolutely fantastic. But it looks like almost like a aircraft hangar. The sort of scale of this thing, the volume of space on the inside is enormous.
Absolutely. My first idea for the name was actually something to do with hangar. We were kind of playing around with that for a little while because that was exactly it. But I ended up with Fin Studio.
And then so this is called Fin Studio, FYNN. And this is the kind of basis for the business at the moment. It's more around Fin Studio rather than your name, Robyn Davie.
It's definitely been a part of the process over the last few years. This kind of moving away from having my own name. And I think it was something I was aware of as well, of when I started bringing on associate photographers. It's hard to send out an associate and they are expecting Robyn Davie to arrive at their shoot, and I'm not there. But I made the decision to retire as a photographer in 2019 because I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't work the 7 days a week anymore, and I was burnt out, and juggling everything was too much. So definitely coming up with a different name was helpful to kind of build the brand around that. And it's definitely built our reputation as well, which has been really nice.
But you yourself, as Robyn Davie, have a pretty strong personal brand already.
Yes.
Which has pivoted presumably from being a photographer into being a business owner. And this is that's a lot of the reels that I see on Instagram of you. It's like, okay, so here I am running my business.
And I think that's the thing about a personal brand, is that it allows you that flexibility because people are sticking with you because it's you. Absolutely. And that's definitely a benefit of having your name in there, but it's also the benefit of creating a strong brand. And reputation has been so important to me. Like, we are so incredibly careful and considerate of our clients, of knowing how to handle them, of handling tricky situations, of doing everything to the absolute best of our ability, and making sure that, at the end of the day, that reputation stays positive. It's not always the case, obviously. You can't make everyone happy, but we do our best.
Of course. And so you now have 12 members of staff and they're sort of permanently they're all in Johannesburg on site.
Yeah.
And you're currently
so everyone's
a few thousand miles away.
Everyone's in Johannesburg. They're all freelancers and independent contractors, which is nice because I don't want to tie anyone in. Everyone has their own photography side hustles, and so it's nice to have that flexibility. And mostly they'll stick with me for a couple of years. The longest one has been my operations manager, who's been with me for 7 years now, 8 years. but it's also amazing to bring in young photographers, and we're an all-female team. So I bring in young female photographers, teach them, mentor them. And I'm aware that after a few years, they're going to fly off and soar and build their own businesses. And it's beautiful to really see that as well.
But it's a training ground for them as well as a job.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Tell me more about the ethos of Fin Studios. What's the
I mean, our thing, and we were actually working on this at the end of last year, like what are our core values and what do we want to stand for? And definitely that sense of community. We're big into kindness and authenticity and transparency. I think there's so many points in business in which you can kind of just be out for yourself, or you could screw people over, or you could just be in it for the money. And that's never appealed to me. I think we can add so much more value, and we can be so much better humans than that. And I think that's also bringing back to your previous question, the point about having a team is that we can support each other. Often photographers, you're just doing it by yourself. And it's a lonely, lonely business. I've got so many friends who are photographers, and it's made such a huge difference when you are in a situation with a client that's driving you up the wall and you just need to vent to someone or talk to someone.
Absolutely.
And so often you're on your own with that. So it's nice to actually have a team and to have each other's backs. And that's one thing that we've kind of promised each other, is that no matter what the situation is, if someone phones me from a shoot and says this and this is happening, I'm always going to have my team members back before I have the clients back. That's my rule. It's a pretty basic one.
Nice. Yeah, that's fantastic. It is incredibly lonely being a sort of solo entrepreneur or solopreneur, a business owner by yourself. And it is lovely to have those kind of communities around you. One of the things I always find with photographers is that there's this kind of inbuilt sense of competition, right? That you've got your little markets, and you've carved out your little space within that market, and then suddenly you've got to be hyper protective of that little space. Like, I do this, I do that. I want to have those sorts of control of that area. And there's lots of suspicion in the photography game, which I'm like, fuck off. This is no good. I don't want any of this. I'm not interested in this. But it's
not
lovely.
necessary more than anything else. Like, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Like, there's a market for every single person. Or we could have 4 billion photographers and we would still be fine. You would still have enough people to photograph. Like, everyone has their different price points. Everyone has their different specific niche. Everyone has their style. I've always so often, like, you do these interviews and people say, so what do you think of the competition? I'm like, what competition? We're not a competition, we're a community. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. I always think that, like, you walk down a street in a relatively busy city, and on probably 100 yards of walking down that street, you've passed as many people as you need in a year.
There we go.
You've probably passed 150 people, 200 people, or whatever it is. And, depending on how you run your business, that's probably all you need in a year. And
that's so true.
There's one of those streets in every relatively large town, and there's enough people that we need. So there's definitely no need for us to be worried about competition. And I think what's quite nice about what you're doing is that if you've got people who are coming in, they're coming in from the beginning, like they're maybe a lot younger and they're starting out, and they right, okay, so I'll come and work for Robyn, and then work for you for a couple of years, and then they go out the other end. They've been sort of processed through the Fin Studio sausage factory. They come out the other end, and then obviously they carry with them that idea of being part of a community, and they'll sort of you'll have that alumni effect presumably in a few years, where it's like, oh, I've got maybe sort of 10 or 15 people who've always been, you've got their back, they've got your back going forward, and that's really lovely.
Yeah, it's always quite remarkable when we have our team get-togethers at the end of the year. Like, it's incredibly touching to sit, and we always like have a moment of gratitude for each other and chat about the process. And almost every single one of them has said to me that they were in a place where they like needed help or desperately needed a community, or were like seeking something just like this, and somehow our paths merged and they joined the team at the right time. And yeah, it's really beautiful to hear that you are making an impact. Like, it is still, even when you do have a team and you have people that are with you on it, it's still a lonely road at the top. So it's always good to get that feedback and to feel like you're making an impact.
Absolutely. And who are your clients?
So since the main business was family photography for a good like 8 years or so, a lot of private families, and that was really lovely because they would come back to us with every milestone, every kid that was born, every birthday, and that was beautiful to document those moments. We do still do family photography as well. It's just not our biggest thing, but it's really lovely to keep catching up with those families every 6 months or a year, and that's a great market as well to keep getting those sales in. But now our biggest clients are our corporate shoots, and then my studio I actually hire out to other photographers. So they're one of our biggest target markets is other photographers, which is also why I continue to attempt to improve the community and the industry.
Absolutely. And of course, you run online courses and you do photography education. Is that relatively new?
Yeah, so that's been the last year basically that I started that. We were chatting just now about how this idea of competition and these are my secrets and I've learned this and you mustn't know this and we can't steal each other's ideas. I have the complete opposite perspective of let's share our ideas, let's make the industry better. If we're all getting better, we can all charge higher prices. Like that's it. Like it's pretty simple. You don't have to compete with someone who's charging a super low price because they just haven't upskilled enough. So yeah, let's share that information. I love seeing other people thrive and grow and build their businesses and themselves at the same time. I've tried to go for quite a holistic approach to my online courses.
So let's get a little bit more up to date. You were in Johannesburg. You started Fin Studio in 2019.
2021.
21.
Yes.
So you stepped back from holding the camera in 2019. You started Fin Studios in 2021. And just in the last year, you dropped it all and disappeared off to Hamburg.
Maybe that makes it sound very dramatic.
What took you to Hamburg?
Well, just to go back to your previous point, I was running my business from my apartment in Johannesburg. So now I do it in my apartment in Hamburg, and it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Sure. I was pretty much doing everything virtually with the team. I'd pop into the studio every now and then, but since we mostly hired out to other photographers, I didn't need to be there for a lot of stuff. So it was definitely the right time. And I think having the right team as well in place and knowing that I could trust them, and that's a really powerful space to be in. But yeah, it was 100% a personal choice to move overseas. I've been wanting to move to Europe for probably about 5 years now. I've lived in a different country or continent for every decade of my life so far, and I'm not planning on stopping. I think it's the biggest growth opportunity. I think throwing yourself in the deep end, getting so far out of your comfort zone and starting from scratch is incredibly, incredibly powerful. It gets you out of your routines, shakes everything out. So this time it was Germany.
And you're studying?
Yeah. So it really has been quite a transformative year, going from moving overseas, kind of stumbling across this very interesting university, the Tomorrow University of Applied Sciences, which is based in Germany, even though it's an international university. And it just like set my soul on fire. It's sustainability, entrepreneurship, and innovation. So it's all of the things that we should be learning right now, I think. And if no matter what field you're in, you should never stop learning as a human being. As even more so in this age when the world is changing so quickly, we need to adapt with it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, you're speaking to the converted. I teach on a master's program, so I understand that.
Amazing. What are you teaching?
So I teach on an MA in Art and Politics in the Politics Department at Goldsmiths University. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've been doing that not teaching on that program, but I've been teaching in general at a university level for close on 20 years now. So
wow.
I really love it.
There we go. I love it. That's the thing. You keep learning, and then it's even in that role where you're teaching that you can learn more than anyone else.
It's the best way to learn. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's the best way to learn. And actually, I've recently also started offering educational elements to my business. So I do one-to-one mentorships in the studio, and I do kind of one-to-one Zoom calls for people. So it's quite a nice, like, I've learned this, right? Okay, now I can, this has been, this is how I do it. This is not necessarily how you have to do it, but this is quite a good way of doing it. So,
make some online courses as well. Make money while you sleep. the
There's, there's,
future.
there's one coming up. Don't worry.
Oh, amazing. I can't wait to see it.
It's in the pipeline. So tell me more about your online courses. I want to know more about this because I haven't done it yet. So maybe I'll sign up after this.
So my perspective has been the business side of things. I'm obviously more business-minded and entrepreneurial-minded, and I think there are already quite a few courses out there, of course, in terms of the actual photography aspects. Mm-hmm. But I do think that's something that's quite lacking in terms of photography education. I've had a lot of photographers join my team who've just finished 3-year degrees or diplomas, and they've done absolutely nothing to do with the business side of things, which I think is a huge letdown. Like as a photographer, you are going to be marketing, financials, admin, absolutely everything, operations, creative director. And if you've missed out on that part of your education and now suddenly you enter the job market, you're like, what am I doing? Now I've got to run my own business and I have no idea how. It's crazy that you would pay for a 3-year degree and it would be missing so much important information. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much the focus of my courses. It's marketing, it's branding, it's client management, it's client communications, productivity. Yeah.
Oh, that's very, very important. It's really interesting because I started my photography journey in 2021. So I did an art foundation 20 years ago, but I picked up the camera again in during the pandemic, and so I opened my business in 2021. And it was like, how the hell do I do this? How do you start this process? So I spent, and I still spend, many hours per week listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, reading blog posts, reading articles about running a business, marketing yourself, differentiation, all this kind of stuff, all the things that, it's not about practicing photography because you do that in the studio. You do that on a regular basis. If you're shooting regularly, which you should be, then you're doing that on a regular basis. It's all that other stuff that you maybe have never thought about, the things that you need to do, right? Marketing yourself. You can't just open your business and then suddenly expect people to come. It's not Field of Dreams.
I've spent 12 years like bumping my head up against the table. Like that has been it, being like, how do I do this? How do I handle this tricky situation with a client? How do I send invoices? How do I do accounting? And I've learned it by myself. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, well, I might as well teach other people that no one else should have to go through this struggle. Like,
exactly.
Shouldn't have to be like that. Can we just circle back to where you said you started photography in 2021? Mm-hmm. That was 3 years ago. You were taking photos before that, though.
I did an art foundation in photography, and that was so that was 1999 to 2000.
Okay.
And then I went on to an art undergrad, and then I was doing that in Brighton, and I stayed in Brighton and ran a gallery there, and then moved to London to do my master's in curating, and ran some more galleries, and then did a PhD. Throughout all of that, I was not really taking photographs. There was some times when I was taking photographs to document exhibitions that I was curating, but really not in any kind of meaningful sense. Until really the pandemic hit and completely messed up everybody's lives.
Everything.
And it essentially prompted me to make a kind of radical departure from what the plan had been, which had been to be an academic, which I still am, but just that I don't rely on academia as the place that I get all of my income from. So it was essentially an opportunity for me to be like, right, okay, what's the big thing that I can do that will actually provide me with a source of income, because academia is important. It's poorly paid, like incredibly poorly paid.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's terrible. Sort that shit out. It was one of those kinds of moments where I was like, right, okay, I've got to kind of make this big kind of leap and change of my career path. And I bought a camera, and just spent a year just getting back into it, learning it, watching a hell of a lot of YouTube videos, and then realizing in the beginning of 2021 that actually what I needed to do was find a way to the camera could make me money, and it was taking photographs of people, and people need photographs themselves. So I started in my flat that I'm in at the moment, and kind of it was a little sort of roller coaster of a journey through to the place that I am today.
A very quick roller coaster over the last few years then, because your work is absolutely phenomenal. I was like, this guy's obviously been doing these portraits for like 25 years or something, and now you're telling me you've been doing it for a couple of years. I'm blown away. That is
That's
like
very
beautiful,
sweet.
beautiful growth. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put it on. I put it on like 2 times speed. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it really quickly. That's why I spend like every minute of the day, every waking minute that I can, learning about this, because
There we go.
I'm 42, and you get to this stage of life where it's like, actually, you want it to be happening now. If I'd started this when I was in my early to mid 20s, then I might not have the same kind of fire up my ass to do it, right? I'm like, right, I've got to actually make this work. I've got to make this a sustainable business really quickly, because I can't
Yep.
afford for it not to be sustainable. I can't take it a year out and reassess and do all that. I have to get it right. So it's like, when you've got that kind of fire, that's when
Yeah.
you push hard. And thank you very much. That's a very high compliment
No,
coming from
well, it's
somebody who's
true.
much more experienced than I am. So that's lovely.
But it's such an amazing story to hear as well, and I'm so glad we chatted about this. It's not just about my story, because I think there's so much value in that as well, to show that I think a lot of people, it's like, sit back and kind of wait for that moment to happen, and to show that if you do actively learn and you spend every single moment of your day pouring yourself into that and focusing on that passion, that's incredible growth within 2 or 3 years. And yeah, it's unbelievable. And I think if more people knew that and saw that and had that fire, yeah, it's incredible what you can achieve.
I think that it's like, I did a PhD, right? And when you're doing a PhD, there's a certain level of sort of singular mindedness. You have to have that kind of level of singular mindedness. And I suppose I just took it on. I was like, right, okay, finish the PhD. What's the next big project that I have to undertake? And it was this. I was like, okay, right, I know where I need to go, and I'm finding the direction, one step in front of the other. And I've had some amazing support. Like, if you think about the group that we're both part of, Headshots Matter, it's been an absolute amazing group of people to be supported by, and that's really lovely. And to be honest, like, having people around just saying, yeah, you're going in the right direction, like, that looks good. Having those people, online communities and so forth, is really, really wonderful.
Makes a huge difference.
That's really amazing, and it's those things that I think make all the difference. Dedication, kind of single-mindedness, but also that kind of not being alone in the struggle, as it were. The other thing I would say, like, for me, it's always having a camera, like, always. When you're in that learning process, if you're not shooting on a very regular basis,
absolutely,
what are you doing? Like, you've got to be shooting, even if it's literally just like going for a walk with a camera. Like, I was incredibly lucky in the sense that I was, we were in lockdown. There was literally nothing else I could do. So all I could do was go for a walk for that, like, one bit of exercise per day, and like, right, here's my camera. So you're forced into that, and that was, I think, a unique position to be in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
and there's no excuse for it as well, because, like you say, you managed to find all that time and find things to photograph in the middle of the pandemic. When I started out, my thing was taking self portraits. I would put my camera on a tripod and on a timer, and just test out every different setting on that camera. Be like, what happens if I put it this way? What happens if I change the ISO like this? What happens then? And just seeing. And I think it's also powerful because it really gives you the chance to get comfortable in front of the camera as well, which a lot of photographers are like, no, I don't step in front of my camera. But you're missing out on an opportunity then, because you have to know what it feels like to be on that side of the camera. Otherwise, you can't make your clients feel comfortable. Yeah. So get into those weird poses and sit in front of the camera and get other people to photograph you and see what it's like. I've been photographed by photographers who don't say anything. And it's the most unnerving thing to be in front of someone's lens, and they're just like, and you're like, what, is it good? Is it bad? What's happening? Is it terrible? Do I look crap? Like, what is it? Like, you have to know these things. You have to be on that other side of the lens to realize. Yeah.
I had a lovely little shoot with a friend of mine yesterday, and we were just doing this shoot, and there's this little moment where I took the photograph, and he clearly recognized that my facial expression was meant as a good photograph. He was like, "Oh, was that good?" I was like, "Yeah, it was good."
People need that encouragement. Yeah, we
Yeah.
always feel very insecure when a camera's pointed at us.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I'm
yeah.
jealous of your self-portrait time. I haven't gone through that. Maybe I did that a little bit back in the day, all on like I used to shoot on slide film, and I can remember doing this one self-portrait, which was like the camera on a tripod, and just doing a long shutter, a long
Oh,
exposure,
yeah, very
and then I
nice.
had a flash, like I had a little flash unit, which I would sit.
Hmm.
So it was dark outside, so I'd sit in there, put the camera on long exposure, and just flash myself in like 5 or 6 different places in the
Yeah,
frame, and like it was all on slide
exactly.
film, so like almost zero latitude on
Oh,
exposure. So it
wow.
was like really like yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
good experience doing that kind of stuff. But
Well, you can do it again. You can still do some more
yeah, I
self-portraits.
can
But yeah, even
exactly.
that, like testing out flash, a lot of people are not confident with flash photography, with setting up
Hmm.
studio lights. And as soon as you have a client there, then it is extra pressure. But if you're just doing it self-portrait, set up the light, set up the
Exactly.
flash, see what happens. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. It's a
So
really
is
good way to
your
learn.
self-portraits still on your Instagram, Robin, or have you taken them
No,
off?
no. Well, like 15 years ago.
It's not me
It's a
anymore.
very long time. No, I don't think you would even recognize me.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. So tell me, we talked a little bit about marketing, a little bit
Mhm.
about this element of what your education is aimed at.
Mhm.
Um, but what I'd really like to get out of you is like a little tip, little, little nugget, a little bit of spice, a little bit of
No, but it's
marketing
fine.
go to. What's a good piece of advice?
I mean, if we're talking about marketing, I think it all comes down to narrative. And as
Hmm.
photographers, that's a very fun realm to play in. But I think everyone in any kind of industry should be looking at narrative above
Hmm.
everything else. I think the essence of storytelling, I mean, it's literally in our DNA. It's how we have
Hmm.
survived as a species, is sitting around fires and telling each other stories of, don't
Yeah,
go over there, there's a saber-toothed tiger. Like, we know this.
yeah.
It's how we get people to relate to us. It's how we let down our barriers. It's how we let people in, and it's how we can take people on a journey. And I've always said
Hmm.
this to my photographers as well. Whenever they're going into a shoot, think of it as a story. It has to have a
Hmm.
beginning, a middle, and an end. How are we putting this together? Like, and you want to take people on that journey as well. Definitely, the more that I have noticed that I tell my own story through my Instagram reels, through my website, through the videos that we put together, that business has boomed since I've started doing that. And
Hmm.
it's scary. Every person is like, oh well, it comes so naturally to you. It hasn't. It absolutely hasn't. I
Hmm.
used to be like 91% introvert, couldn't even leave the house. But it's this muscle, and you have to train yourself, and you have to get better at it. And you have to start to post and to show up. And unfortunately, it would be great if you could just stick a photo up online and be like, look how great my work is, hire me. But
Hmm.
that's not enough. There's a lot of
Yeah,
photographers with really great work out there. So you need to be able to
yeah.
tell that story and set yourself apart.
I think this is absolutely what I believe in as well. I think this is absolutely
Mm,
true. I had this. I just before we have this conversation, I was doing a location shoot. You could call it a kind of personal branding shoot.
yeah,
This young woman who's a coach. She coaches business people in like how to use their minds well. But we shot this
amazing.
amazing. We did a shoot in this amazing location. It's called the Old Sessions House in
Hmm.
London, and it's this old Georgian, enormous Georgian building that
Beautiful.
has been turned into a club, essentially, like not a nightclub, but like a members club.
Nice.
And it's just amazing, amazing building, and indoor. These spaces are just beautiful, big windows. They've stripped all of the paper off and the paint off the walls, just bare walls, and it's just absolutely stunning. And I was saying to her, I was like, I'm just starting out in this kind of personal branding world as a
Hmm.
photographer. I do headshots, majority of my work, but I also want to do a little bit more personal branding stuff closer to what your team does. And I was
Yeah,
just saying to her, I was like, whenever I look at personal branding photography online, there's like one photograph of that person, and it's like thigh up photograph, invariably of them looking smart, looking nice, with a nice big smile on their face. Lovely, that's fantastic. It's a nice photograph of
yeah,
that person. Wonderful. It ain't personal branding,
yeah,
because branding is about the feeling that you get from looking at somebody's work,
absolutely.
their website, the touch points of their business. And
Yeah,
that is not that feeling, that story is not told through one photograph. So
Mm-hmm.
it's absolutely about telling stories through a sequence of photographs. And you're absolutely right, beginning, middle, and end. You've got to kind of construct this story through that narrative through
Absolutely.
that. So I think it's really important that we think about that. So that is a
Yeah, it's powerful.
nugget, little takeaway nugget there. That's fantastic. Amazing.
Amazing.
So tell me, what's the future? What does the future hold? You're doing your master's,
Yep.
gone back to education, and is it a 1-year course, 2-year course? What's the plan?
18 months.
18 months, nice.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like longer courses. I think the 1-year masters is an absolute terrible idea. But you're
Yeah.
doing that, and so you're running Fin remotely. And will you stay
Mm-hmm.
in Hamburg after you finish the masters, or somewhere else?
I want to have a good answer for you, but I'm in this like transition period, limbo, interesting, like opening doors and seeing what's on the other side. And a lot of those doors I open, there's nothing there. And I'm just wondering like what's happening and what is next.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely feeling really confident with how the business is going in Johannesburg this year, which is really nice because last year was a wild one. The
Mm-hmm.
whole South African economy is not doing so well, so
Okay.
it's been tough to navigate that. But yeah,
Some of that
we're
is
off to
data, isn't it?
a better start this year, which is really good. And if it can just keep ticking along, that would be fantastic. It definitely feels like it's kind of the start of a new chapter for me. Obviously, moving overseas in this master's degree, and I'm gonna wait and see. You'll have to come back and interview me again and see
6 months time.
where it goes. Yeah, yeah, what doors get opened and where they lead to.
Nice. And
Yeah.
did you just start this September? Is it just recent that you started the masters?
Yeah, it just started in
Okay.
September. Yeah, only a few
So
months in.
you've got a whole year left
Yes.
to go through that. That's amazing. Well, I'll definitely stay in touch and
Yeah.
we can talk about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you still photograph?
Um, Not really. I've downgraded upgraded, downgraded. I'm now on a mirrorless Nikon, which is really nice, but it mostly sits in my cupboard, which really is quite a waste. I pull it out every now and then when we have to shoot some content.
Sure.
But yeah, I definitely don't professionally take any photos anymore. I snap away on my phone all the time, absolutely, and love taking videos these days as well to update the gram. But yeah, it's something that a lot of people ask me because as a creative, you're supposed to be creating all the time, and you're supposed to have this camera in your hands. But I think there can definitely be a shift, and I find a lot of creativity in running my business and building the brand and in all the elements that I get to create around that, and watching people blossom as well, and like fostering that kind of growth within them. So there's different ways to be creative within your business, I think.
No, absolutely. That's fantastic. I find that as well. Like I love taking photographs, and I'm still in the kind of honeymoon phase of doing studio shoots. But I also recognize that there's a huge creative part of my brain that is aimed at like how to make my business operate in the way that I want it to operate. Like, how much do I want to earn this month? Okay, let's try and make it like this. Okay, how do I want to make 10 more people come to the studio next month than they did the previous month? Those sorts of things. How do you actually make that process? For me, it's like, okay, well, how do I make an offer that is so irresistible that people have to book straight away, and all those kinds of things. So you're kind of constantly kind of ticking over those ideas, like how to run a business, which is really exciting.
Yeah, but it's good to have that strategic mindset as well. And I think a lot of photographers and a lot of creatives go, oh, no, I'm a creative, I'm an artist, my brain doesn't work like that. And we know that this myth has been completely debunked, that it's not that you can do maths or you can take photos. Those two things, you can actually do both of them. Mostly it's a stigma. Mostly it's a stigma, or like the way you've been raised, or it was some terrible teacher who humiliated you in front of the class when you're doing your times tables. That was me. Not that I was a teacher, I was the one being humiliated. But that kind of creates the stigma against doing maths for the rest of your life. But it just doesn't work like that. Our brains work in incredibly amazing ways, and you can be strategic and creative at the same time. You can put together an Excel spreadsheet and go, okay, cool. Well, I want to make X amount this month. How can I do that? Just like you're saying, that means I've either got to charge more, I've got to bring in those 10 extra clients. And to do that, what advertising campaign do I need to put together? Can it be organic content, or do I need to run a Google ad? And that for me is the really fun side of things, is to figure those bits out.
Yeah. I'm incredibly lucky in the sense that I've got Barry.
Oh,
Barry's our producer. So Barry's the producer, but he's also an excellent marketer. I mean, I don't know whether you managed to have a little chat with him before we started, but his background is in marketing. So he's been incredibly helpful with me and my business. So he's also doing a lot of work with Headshots Matter as well at the moment. So
very nice. But that's the community. There we go. That's what makes the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah. You got to have a support system.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. If you were to look back to your 20-something-year-old self.
Yeah.
Let's pick an age, 24. What were you doing at 24? And what would you say as you are now? The other side of this big journey that you are now. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to assume your age. What would you say? What would you say to your 24-year-old self?
I mean, you chose a tough age, because that was the age I was getting married to someone that I shouldn't get married to. So that's on the personal front. Don't get married. It's a trap. Don't do it. But we figured that one out in the end, so that's okay. Definitely, I think I wish I could go back and have the information that I have now. That, like, bumping my head against the wall thing was incredibly painful and unpleasant. And I think I could have accelerated my growth a lot more. I was doing some online courses and watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. There wasn't as much as there is now.
No.
And definitely the idea of investing in products like that didn't sit in my brain at that time. So if I were to go back, I would be like, kid, get those online courses, learn as much as you can, and build that support system and that community. It's something that has, like, slowly, organically grown over the years, but I think I could have done more at that time to build it up.
Absolutely. I think that's, for me, it's like I look back at maybe when I was in my mid-20s, late 20s or early 20s. I think if I'd have started a business, if I'd started doing the photography like I'm doing it now, I don't know where the resources would be. Like, the things that I watch and I read and I look at, there's so much available now, so much amazing information available now. I don't know if I'd have been successful particularly back in my 20s.
Well, you wouldn't have been successful as fast. That's what's blown my mind about your journey, is the speed. Yeah. Start 3 years ago, like, you accelerated it. It's fantastic. Or do it my way and just bump your head until 12 years later you get there.
Well, everyone needs to go and buy your course so that they can do it at the sort of 10 times speed.
You said it. It sounds like a great idea.
I think that's a great idea. I'll get 10%.
We see.
Robyn, if there's places that people need to come and see, how can they find you online? What should they be looking at?
Very good question. We are everywhere. I have 3 Instagrams, 3 websites, 2 Facebook pages, 3 LinkedIn pages. It's a lot. But the main one, my personal one is Robyn Davie. I share a lot of business tips in there and what the team has been up to, a lot of our photo shoots. Then we've got the Fin Studio page, which is really great for photographers as well, because we share a lot of really great tips, but specifically photography related on that page. And then we also have Fin Innovates, which is our online course page. And that's where you can get more generalized, like, business tips and a lot of information about the online courses.
Fantastic. We will put all of that information in the little box below so everyone can check it out and follow you on Instagram. But just so that they're aware, it's Robyn Davie with a Y in Robyn and an IE in Davie. So
I love it. Fantastic. And they must pop me a message when they do find me, because it would be great to connect and make that community. That's the idea, right?
Exactly. Slide into your DMs.
Yes, absolutely. I like
Amazing,
it.
Robyn. Thank you so much. Before we go, is there anything you want to just, like, shout about, something that's going on in your brain you want to talk about, anything that you've got burning?
I mean, the one thing I was thinking was how great your interview skills were, because I feel like you've covered everything. I mean, I think that's it. Maybe if there's one thing that's been on my brain recently, and it's just because we're doing our sustainability foundations in my degree at the moment, is just this, and it ties into this thing about being a better human and being a kinder human. But we're currently working on how you can even optimize your business in terms of what's happening in the world right now. And I think it is quite a relevant point to say, is your business climate friendly? Are you carbon neutral? And it can be something as simple as you go, oh no, well, I just take photos in a studio, like that doesn't have a huge knock-on effect. But where is your business investing its money? Which bank are you using? Is that bank investing in fossil fuels? Like it's a big topic to raise right at the end of the conversation, but definitely something to think about. And it's time for it. It's definitely time that we think more about what we're doing and what our business impact is.
Amazing. Well, we'll have you back on again at the end of your masters, and we can be updated on the journey that you're taking and where you're going to go next.
Yeah.
But Robyn, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been amazing. Yes, this has been fantastic. Thanks, Tom. Have a good day.
Amazing. Thank you too.